GearNetwork.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network. You're listening to the Better Live Than Dead podcast on the Gear Radio Network.
And with that, we welcome you back to the Better Live Than Dead podcast, powered by Better Live Than Dead and the Gear Radio Network. This right here, episode 176.
176. I like it.
And it is entitled Return of the Mack, because honestly, we're coming back. We'll talk about that in just a moment. We did have some technical difficulties, so if things are spotty throughout the podcast, prior to the podcast, we apologize. First time, long time. Cut us some slack. Anyway, you can hear us on BetterLiveThanDead.com, GearNetwork.com, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. In case you forgot what we sound like, I am Ryan Wolfe at Wolfe BLTD. Joining me on the IndyCar Media Hotline, the man himself, Mr. Perez at MRLG Perez Lewis. How the hell have you been? It's been a long time coming here on a podcast.
Man, listen, first of all, it's great to hear your voice.
I agree.
It's great to be doing this. It's great to be back. 2020 was a crazy year. You know my story.
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit last year too, but what the listeners may not know is after COVID tried to kill me, I almost died another 2 times last year. So 2020 was a fun year.
A normal year, but, one might say.
Yeah, normal year, exactly. But it's great to be here. It's great to hear your voice. It's great to be back. It's great to be talking sports. It's been a very, very long time.
I agree, man. It's been, if you're keeping track at home, it's been since May 31st, 2020, the last time we talked. Really, it was right after the start of the pandemic. I mean, things started in March. They got crazy, started to kind of level off a little. But the past year has been insanity. I mean, personally, professionally, just all across the board. I mean, so much has happened. I feel like so much has changed, but yet again, not much has changed, because it feels like these big life events keep happening, but it feels like everything keeps happening in a bubble because I purposefully don't go around people. I mean, I recently just got my first COVID, or I got my 2 COVID vaccines. So I'm fully protected for at least 6 months. I know, Lewis, you started, I believe you got your first one recently, which is awesome to see.
No, I got the one and done, dude. I got the J&J.
Oh, you got the blood clots. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
I only kid. For the conspiracy theorists out there, I only kid. If you don't remember how we are on this podcast, serious is not one of those things.
No.
But I'm glad you got it, because honestly, I've had a lot of people ask me, because I personally, like I said, I got Pfizer. I know some people who got Moderna. Obviously, I know you got J&J. A couple other people I know got it as well. And people ask me mostly either because they know I'm not one to turn down a conversation, obviously, or mostly because of what my wife does. And I just tell people, I'm like, look, at whatever shot you can get that will protect you, get it, because we're at the point now where, and this sounds terrifying, but we're heading toward a third wave, and a lot of the people we're seeing are younger kids, because young adults, because they haven't gotten vaccinated. Because at this point, you're looking at a lot of, they started with the really old people, and then that was taken care of, and they got a little younger, and then a little younger, and then the comorbidities, and then the health problems, et cetera, and now it's, who are the people that still have yet to get vaccinated? Young kids. Who are the most impatient, or young adults? Sorry. Who are the most impatient group of people in this world? Arguably, young adults. You look in Florida, you see people partying. You see young adults in Texas. Texas is just crazy, but you see people out of Texas. You see the Texas Rangers, their home opener at their new stadium, jam-packed like sardines. Yeah, man. Bro, drives me super fucking crazy. Effect. It drives me fucking crazy. No lack of a better explanation.
Well, man, we can listen. We can talk about what drives us crazy about this all day.
Yeah.
I know people who still think it's not real. I know people who still think the Democrats created this so they can get rid of Donald Trump.
Look, you can talk to I know, Lewis, you know about this, but anybody who wants to talk to my wife, I'm sure she'd be more than happy to take the time to tell you the stories of these people that she's had to have conversations with their families over iPads so their families could see their loved one for the last time because their loved one has COVID. Nobody can come see them. Like, these are the stories you've heard on a daily basis. And these are the things too that like, it's not even like a PTSD. I mean, it's going to be a PTSD thing, but it's like more than that because it's so much has happened in the last year that's been just absolutely mind numbing and devastating that people won't have the ability to ever figure out and get right from what happened. It may just be a thing where you just go, that was a time in our lives. And that's really what that's for me. That's what it's been. Like, we're healthy, knock on wood. We're alive, knock on wood, you know.
Right. How's your wife holding up, man?
Things have been much better. I mean, around like last Christmas-ish, it was rough, like the end of the second wave, because then you get to that point where you can start thinking about what actually happened. And for her, that was very difficult because during the two big waves, you don't have a chance to think because you're going in seeing 20, 30 people a day, most of which are dying or at death's doorstep or getting very close. And it's hard. But I think as time has gone on, she's learned to cope better. She's had to learn how to cope in a different way. And it's been difficult. I mean, it's been difficult to watch because I couldn't imagine being in her shoes, but it's been hard to watch because I don't like to see her like that selfishly. But
I understand.
And I want the best for her, but I also know that she loves to take care of people. That is her calling. And she has she has an incredibly difficult job and she's aware of that. But again, it's a situation where it's like, you know, they say yes. You know, you hear people say a lot about doctors and nurses and nurse practitioners like my wife is, where they'll say, well, this is what you signed up for. And while yes, on one hand, taking care of sick and dying people is what they signed up for. Nobody signed up to take care of a global pandemic that the important people who should have considered it to be real don't. But again, I don't want to jump off the deep end here and start, you know, pointing fingers. The only thing I'm going to say is the last time we talked, Donald Trump was the president. This time we're talking Joe Biden's the president, and holy shit, is the world a better place. Even if nothing's changed, the world's a better place.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
Can we just, by the way, one more time for the road, can we just get a fuck Donald Trump for the road? Kick it old school real quick just for me, you know?
Yeah, man. You know, fuck Donald Trump.
So I want to talk about football, man. Like, just out of the gate, before we get too crazy.
Let's talk football.
Because, bro, we could go crazy for hours, and we could be here till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, got to work the next day type of shit. We could get lost. So I'm just going to jump in head first to football because, man, it has been, I don't think crazy or insane is a fair superlative, I guess is the word I'm looking for. It's been it's been crazy, man. I mean, to start off with, the first big bombshell of the offseason, J.J. Watt, he asks to be cut. He asked to be released by the Houston Texans. The Buffalo Bills were rumored to be up there. It was wild. I mean, there was a time where, you know, a lot of people thought J.J. Watt was headed to Buffalo, which would have been crazy. But he signs in Arizona. He's a Cardinal now. He's a 2-year contract. He's paired with fellow pass rusher. And again, you always know it always ties back to Western New York somehow. Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones leads the NFL with 97 sacks since he was drafted in 2012. J.J. Watt, second during that span with 95.5 sacks. I would say before today, Lewis, that this might be the scariest pass rushing duo in the NFL. But today, literally hours before we got on the air here on April 14th, the Cleveland Browns reportedly agreed to terms with Jadeveon Clowney. So they have Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney with the rest of that incredibly stellar defense. So J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones, 1A, 1B type of thing with the Browns maybe. But what a move for the Cardinals who are looking to expedite their I guess I'm trying to think of how I wanted to say this, but essentially expedite their path to the Super Bowl because they've got a good young quarterback, Kyler Murray. They've got DeAndre Hopkins. They played relatively well last year, and he continues to grow, and that team continues to grow, and this can only help that team grow just a little faster.
Yeah, you know, I just think it's interesting. I'm hoping it works out for them. I didn't really consider them a Super Bowl contender. I think they're still a little bit off. And JJ was like, I only want to play for a Super Bowl contender. And then the Cardinals were like, hey, look at this paycheck. And he was like, you know what? The Cardinals works for me. So, that was, to me, I was like, okay, bro. Now, if you would put him in Buffalo, I think he's that one player that could have pushed them over the edge to a Super Bowl team. I think he could have definitely helped them get there. So this signing is interesting. I hope it works out for the Cardinals. JJ, he's an incredible defensive player. So I don't think he would go someplace that not in contention. That's my original thought, but money makes the world go round.
I don't disagree. Plus, I mean, looking at it now, we see J.J. Watt is, I would presume, a Hall of Fame talent, but he did very well when he wasn't being double, triple teamed, whatever. He double teamed, I would say, but maybe not triple teamed. Just being over dramatic here. But if you take the pressure off you, you can be better. And I think that being paired up with Chandler Jones certainly will help there. Same, like I said, same with Jadeveon Clowney in Cleveland. You have the ability to go.
Scary.
It could be. I mean, again, if JJ Watt stays healthy, if Jadeveon Clowney stays healthy, we could be looking at these four players racking up sacks after sack after sack after sack. Who knows? I mean, that's you can't win the Super Bowl in the offseason, that's for sure. But speaking of the Super Bowl, I guess you could kind of say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl. Well, we know they won the actual Super Bowl, which within itself, Lewis, Tom Brady, first year going to Tampa Bay, winning the Super Bowl, insane. But I guess something crazy, if not crazier, they're putting the band back together. They return all 22 starters. That's 11-11 offense and defense from the Super Bowl victory. The first time this has ever been done in the salary cap era. You got a lot of players buying in. You got a lot of players, looking at this thinking, we did it once. Why can't we do it again? They struggled throughout the season. We talked about that last year. Or no, because we didn't talk about that. We talked about it off air last year because we didn't podcast last football season. It took me a second there. I know we've talked about this at points off the air that they were definitely struggling because it seemed like they wanted Brady to play Bruce Arians' system or change the way he played. They put trust in Brady, and the rest is history. But this is actually working out pretty well today on the podcast because we talk about Tom Brady. We look at Tom Brady being the greatest of all time. It moves us over in the NFC South, Lewis, to another GOAT, if you will. Drew Brees retiring. Weird. Crazy. This whole podcast is like crazy, weird, nuts, because we have all the big stories. You don't have to talk about the little things. Drew Brees, one of the best ever behind Brady and Manning. Brees retires first all-time in passing yards, 80,358 passing yards, only 1,154 ahead of Brady. That'll probably fall next year. Brees, second all-time in passing touchdowns with 571. Fourth all-time in combined wins with 181. That's postseason and regular season. Behind Brady, who has 264, Manning with 200, and Favre with 199. I feel like what can be said about Brees, we've already said. What I want to talk about, Lewis, is how the New Orleans Saints handled their quarterback position this offseason. First off, Taysom Hill. They restructure his deal, which leads to a 4-year, $140 million contract extension that actually saves New Orleans $7.5 million in the cap. So good for them because they were like $100 million plus over the cap. They got back down under, if I'm not mistaken. But they give this player, this gadget player, Taysom Hill, who can play a lot of positions and has $140 million. So you think, wow, that's crazy, right? Get this. Per Spot Track, the entire deal automatically voids after the next season. So he really gets $12.159 million in 2021. And then in 2022, there's a dead cap hit of $7,748,000, which I guess that's good. But then they don't stop there. Jameis Winston signs a 1-year, $5.5 million deal, up to $12 million in incentives to return to the Saints. The 2022 and 2023 years of the deal automatically void on the last league day of 2021 and push a $3 million dead cap hit into 2022. So, Lewis, they're trying. I mean, I don't know. I would think Jameis Winston gives them the best chance to win, but Sean Payton really loves Taysom Hill, and you can see why. But New Orleans, if nothing else, is creative. That's for sure.
New Orleans has always been creative. You know, I mean, I'm not a Drew Brees guy. I've never really liked Drew Brees. I understand the fact that he was a great quarterback. I don't know. It's never liked the dude, you know. He got one ring. That's good for him. You could tell he really wanted that second, but never got there. I like this Taysom Hill dude. Like, he's cool. I hope he helps him win. And let's be honest, Jameis Winston, I mean, it's Jameis Winston. If he can, I don't know, keep his head together, he's not a terrible quarterback. So I think either one of those guys will help them. Does New Orleans make the playoffs next year? I don't think so. I think
Jameis Winston is probably, like I said, their best bet, but he definitely needs to stop throwing so many picks.
Yeah, 100%. But let's back it up real quick. I know we jumped into New Orleans, but I'm just going to say this because, you know, over the long period of time that you and I have been doing a sports podcast, my attitude towards Tom Brady has changed. At first, I couldn't stand him. I hated him. I mean, I still don't like the Patriots. But as far as Tom Brady goes, if you argue at this point that he is not the GOAT, your points are invalid. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, period. Stop tape. Like, that's... I
mean, I think he could even potentially be like the greatest athlete of all time. Like, if you want to go that far, because at this point, I mean,
that might be pushing it.
Look how effective he is at his age.
No, I agree.
That's what I'm thinking, and that's a different conversation for a different day because could break it down. There's a lot of people out there. The first one that comes to mind, Serena Williams.
No, 100%.
That's the first one that comes to mind. I didn't forget. Don't you worry. There's a reason why I brought her up. So, speaking of great quarterbacks retiring, obviously Drew Brees is going to the Hall of Fame. Another guy who I believe should be going to the Hall of Fame, Phillip Rivers, retires after 17 years in the National Football League with San Diego and Los Angeles, the Chargers, and the Indianapolis Colts. They fell to the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs, and that was it for Phil Rivers. He finishes retires fifth all-time in passing yards, 63,440, fifth all-time in passing yards, 421, eighth all-time in combined wins with 139. Lewis, before we move on to what Indianapolis did at quarterback, do you believe, I've already stated my piece here, do you think Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer, or does he belong in the Hall of Very, Very Good?
Oh, you know what? Honestly, I feel bad for Phillip Rivers. I would have liked to see him get a ring. If he had gotten a ring, I think he's a shoo-in. Without a ring, I think he's Hall of Very Good in people's minds. In my opinion, I think Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer. 17 years at quarterback is a hard feat to do. He always played very well. He was top of his game. I think he had to play as long as he did because he's got like 80 kids, so he needed that paycheck.
Yeah, or just wanted to avoid him. I mean, it's allegedly.
Maybe, yeah. But no, I think he should go into the Hall.
I would agree. Like I said, I think that 2004 draft class, I think it was 2004, will go down quarterback wise one of the greatest of all time. I mean, I don't think Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer if he doesn't beat Brady twice in the Super Bowl. Ben Roethlisberger, the stats in the Super Bowl speak for themselves. Phillip Rivers, the stats speak for themselves. Three of the best quarterbacks we've arguably seen, in the history of football. I mean, again, Eli Manning's probably like top 20 in my opinion, maybe 25, but I digress. I'm not going to die in that hill today because we've only been back on the podcast for like 25 minutes now, and I'm not going to die in that hill. But Indianapolis does, Lewis, they did move very quickly. They knew what they wanted and they went out and they got it. Carson Wentz, the ex-Philadelphia Eagle, he was traded to the Colts for a 2021 third-round pick and a conditional 2022 pick. It'll either be a first or second-round pick. Now, Wentz has only played 16 games twice in his 5-year NFL career, but Indianapolis head coach Frank Reich went to bat for Wentz and inquired with Indianapolis's front office, I should say, to see if a deal could be done. In one season with Frank Reich as the offensive coordinator, I believe it was offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles before he got the job in Indianapolis, Wentz went 11-2 in 13 games with 3,296 passing yards, 33 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. So clearly there's enough tape out there to say, hey, Frank Reich knows how to use Carson Wentz the right way, but can Carson Wentz stay healthy? And when healthy, can he be effective? Because clearly what they were doing in Philadelphia, they were not playing to his strengths, whatever those may end up being. But I mean, I really think that this has been the rumored move for a long time. I feel like once, even before Phillip Rivers, I feel like was traded to the Colts, it was always that rumor of, well, what about Carson Wentz and Frank Reich? Because it seems like it was going to work itself out.
Right.
I mean, Philadelphia ate a big dead cap hit, like $33 million or something like that to get rid of Carson Wentz. If that tells you how sour they were on him. But again, I mean, it's really I think it's a win-win for Indianapolis either way, because if they give up a second and a third round pick and he's mediocre, you tried. I mean, if he's good, great. Awesome. You figured it out because he's still really young, but
I don't think Carson Wentz is mediocre, though. I think
I don't think
Wentz
so.
is a good quarterback. He's not a good teammate, from what I understand. We've heard the rumors of how he was on the sidelines, and so,
I think there was a lot. I do think, just to jump in really quick, I do think there was a lot going on in Philadelphia, like top down. I know we saw something about. I saw something about the old head coach where they were treating him like a baby. Essentially, they wanted to know everything he was doing, when he was doing it, how he was doing it. So again, it's a situation where it's like
that could be annoying.
Maybe it's just best for all parties to just go their separate ways. Doug Pederson, you do your thing. Carson Wentz, you do your thing. The Philadelphia Eagles, you do your thing, and everybody moves on, and we're all happy.
Right.
Although the Eagles next season with Jalen Hurts at the at the quarterback position, you might have bitten off a little more than you can chew, but we'll see.
We will see, but probably.
Now, looking at the NFL still, because again, there's a little left to talk about. The draft is, I think, less than 2 weeks away. I don't really remember. I believe so. I believe I heard that on TV at like 1:00 in the morning last night, so it sounds about right. But excuse me. It's looking more likely that quarterback Trevor Lawrence from Clemson goes number 1 overall to Jacksonville, shockingly. And then quarterback Zach Wilson of BYU goes number 2 to the Jets because, as you've probably seen by now, the Jets traded Sam Darnold to the Carolina Panthers, which was kind of a surprise move. But if John were here, we'd ask him about it. But John's not here, so we won't ask him until a little later. The big move, Lewis, is what San Francisco is going to do, because, they traded their 2021 12th overall pick, a 2022 third round pick, and a first round pick in 2022 and 2023 to the Miami Dolphins for the third overall pick. At the time that I wrote the podcast, the 49ers were apparently enamored with quarterback Justin Fields, who has worked with Kyle Shanahan in the past in camps and whatnot. But now apparently the 49ers are hot on the trail of Alabama quarterback Mack Jones, and I am not sure how smart of a pick that would be. Get your thoughts on that one. But it just seems to me like if they run the 49er offense like they ran the Washington offense back when Kyle Shanahan had RG3, things might work out pretty well because let's be honest, Lewis, the writing is on the wall for Jimmy Garoppolo, where I think he'll be there this year, but he may not be there further after this year. So I want to get your thoughts real quick before we talk about what else Miami did, because they have been shrewd in this pre-draft craziness. But I want to get your thoughts. Do you think that the 49ers are making a mistake if they draft Mack Jones over Justin Fields?
Well, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Who won the college championship this year?
That's a good question. Alabama?
Yes.
That was a good guess because I don't remember.
Who was their quarterback?
White boy Mack Jones.
Yes. I believe he's proven that he can play in pressure situations. He got hurt during the championship game, but he still played well. Who they beat? That would be Clemson.
I think they're just saying that his intangibles are like he's okay, but coming into the pre-draft process, he wasn't like mocked by a lot of people to be a first-round pick, and now all of a sudden they've got him going third overall. It's kind of like, yeah,
okay. No. I get what you're saying. I don't really think he's a first-round pick. However,
like Lewis, they're legit saying, like, before we get too far into the draft craziness, they're talking like all 5 top quarterbacks could be gone by the 10th pick type of stuff.
That wouldn't surprise me this season. There's a lot of super mediocre quarterbacks right now in the NFL. And there's several that I think are good that are not being utilized properly. The previous quarterback of the New York Jets is one of those guys. I think Darnold is a much better quarterback than he's been given credit for.
Well, I mean, Adam Gase sucks a bag of old dog shit, so.
That's a true story. That's a true 100% true story. So I think quarterbacks are going to be a hot commodity at this draft, much more than we've seen in the last several seasons. I like this. I like the kid from Bama. I think he's going to be a good quarterback.
I think the one quarterback for me that's interesting more than anything is Trey Lance. But because he played one game last year, and I mean the talent's there. But again, I don't know. I'm not a quarterback scout. I mean, the Bills have Aaron Rodgers. I'm reading a story about Aaron Rodgers as I'm talking here. Sorry. The Bills have Josh Allen, and he's a good quarterback. And that feels weird to say on the podcast, but because I don't know the last time that we talked that if we thought Josh Allen was a good quarterback. I don't think so.
I don't think we did. I don't think
it's been a long time.
He's a good quarterback. I like Josh Allen.
He made an ultimate face turn this season.
Yes, he did. I like Trevor Lawrence from Clemson. Don't get me wrong. He reminded me of Sunshine from Remember the Titans. So
I just hope
he's
as sure of it. I just hope that he's as sure of a thing as they've been saying, because like they're talking about how he's going to be the surest prospect we've seen in decades, and I mean, because if for nothing else, Jacksonville just needs a break. Like they need to catch a break.
Yeah, that's a true story.
But I
hope he is too.
I love Gardner Minshew though, man. That he's got I just seen a picture on the internet, man. He's got a mullet, got his chest hair out, got a cutoff shirt and some jeans on. Man,
how can you not like Gardner Minshew? If you don't like Minshew, you need to reevaluate all your life decisions.
You probably don't have a pulse.
Probably not. Because
I don't think
Minshew is hilarious.
I don't think he's a quarterback that's going to win $1 million. He reminds me kind of Ryan Fitzpatrick-esque, where you're like, you know what you get, and
right.
You just enjoy it.
Fitzy's another one of those guys. I like Fitzy.
I mean, he's played for like half the NFL at this point, which is wild.
At this point, yes.
Now, going back to the draft, Lewis, Miami, they must know something, because there were talks that Miami was going to stay up, try to get, maybe get Kyle Pitts, maybe get a wide receiver. So after they had the 12th pick, Miami gets the 12th pick from San Francisco. They subsequently trade that pick a 2021 fourth round pick and Miami's own 2022 first round pick to Philadelphia for the 6th overall pick in 2021. Now, the belief here, follow me on this one. The belief here is that Cincinnati will draft wide receiver Jamar Chase. Now, I say this, they should get the offensive lineman out of Oregon, protect Joe Burrow. That way he's able to throw the ball. He was very successful at LSU when they did that, when they were able to protect him and give him time to step up in the pocket. But it really seems to me, Lewis, like Cincinnati might be getting the LSU championship band back together. Now, they can draft Jamar Chase at the behest of quarterback Joe Burrow, as just mentioned. Monday Morning Quarterbacks Albert Breer pointed out that Joe Burrow has been trying to campaign to get Jamar Chase into Cincinnati, but also, get this, Lewis, Cincinnati just a few days ago claimed tight end Thaddeus Moss, the son of Randy Moss, from Washington. Washington picked him up as an undrafted free agent in 2020. Moss missed the entire season with a foot injury found in a pre-draft workout, I believe it was. Now, Moss played with Burrow at LSU in 12 games. He had 47 catches for 570 yards and 4 touchdowns. So it doesn't stop there, though. Cincinnati gets the LSU band back together. And then at 6, could Miami go Jalen Waddle to pair Waddle with his old college quarterback Tua Tagovailoa? Because at this point, call me crazy, I think that what the Miami Dolphins are doing is what the Buffalo Bills did with Josh Allen. I think that Miami is working hard to build a solid offense and defensive team to give their quarterback the best chance to succeed. With that being said, God forbid Tua Tagovailoa falls on his face, falls flat. He's not the guy. They can pull Tua back from quarterback, plug somebody else in at quarterback, and they should be able to hit the ground running. I think that's what Buffalo did last season with Josh Allen. It worked out very well for them. They were a game away from the Super Bowl, which is crazy to think back on because I haven't reminisced about the Bills last season in quite a while. And I wasn't planning on it, honestly, until Trust the Podcast came back. But
just right.
I mean, it seems to me like Miami figured it out. They've put the right people in the right positions. They have the right people making the right decisions as well. And I don't know that Tua Tagovailoa is the future at quarterback with Miami. But I definitely think that they're going to give him the best opportunities to succeed. And I think that drafting Jalen Waddle, it's probably the right way to go for them. Now I'm looking here at some mock drafts. You've got Cincinnati drafting the offensive tackle from Oregon. Then you get Miami getting Jamar Chase. This I was going to say Pro Football Focus, but I was going to mess around with that myself. Again, you've got Miami picking Devonta Smith, however you say it. I'm so bad with the names. But again, literally any wide receiver from Alabama, maybe it is Smith, maybe it's Waddle. I don't know. Whomever they get, whoever they decide to get, I would think that Miami's going to do their best to try to pair a guy who already knows Tua to kind of speed that process up and make him feel a little more comfortable.
Absolutely. I mean, if you've seen it work, why not copy that recipe? Everything that we just ran down, it sounds like it's a very feasible thing. Could happen. Could improve every single one of those teams. You know, if this stuff works out, then the next football season could be very exciting.
So my question for you, though, because I'm looking at this mock draft here, obviously you've got Trevor Lawrence first, Zach Wilson second. They've got Justin Fields going to the 49ers. Mack Jones could just be like a smokescreen, which I don't know why that would be logical. But there have been rumors that the Falcons are looking to trade out of the 4 spot because obviously if somebody wants to move up and somebody wants to get Trey Lance, which at this point it would be Trey Lance or it would be Mack Jones. Excuse me. I would have to think that 4 pick would be on the table, but the rumor that doesn't seem to go away. The one thing, Lewis, I keep seeing, and I want to get your thoughts on this. What if Bill Belichick, who as a general manager has gone all in this offseason, improving the Patriots, doing something that they really have never done before, or in a long time at least, gone out and spend an ass load of money on free agent talent? What's not to say the Patriots come out and just back up the Brinks truck full of draft picks and give the Falcons whatever they want to get to that 4 pick to get a quarterback? Do you think that's something that will happen? Or do you think even for shrewd Bill Belichick, that's a little too much?
No, I think it's absolutely something that can happen. Bill Belichick is one of the greatest coaches to ever coach the game. I like when I see him at sports shows and he's wearing every single one of his Super Bowl rings as if to sit there and say, I'm better than you, and you know it. So
I like that. I like that. Or it's like Tom Brady when he sits there and people talk junk, and then he just posts a photo of his hands with all the rings on it, and he's like, "What? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I can't hear you over this bling."
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's such a dick move, but
I'm cool with it. I'm here for it. I like it.
We talked about this before. We talked about it before. It's exactly like the LeBron James thing, where I couldn't stand LeBron James forever. And then one day I'm just like, you know what? Do I want to spend all this time hating this guy when I can just be like, he's really good? And that's where I was with Tom Brady, where I'm like, with Tom Brady, I was like, I could continue here to talk shit, make stupid jokes, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Or I could just sit back and appreciate this because I probably will never see this again.
No, see, seeing that you'll never see it again, it to me in basketball doesn't really jive, because
I'm talking football, because basketball. Okay, definitely. We've seen it. We've seen Jordan. We've seen LeBron, but we've never seen a player like Tom Brady before. You can't say with LeBron. You can say, well, there was Jordan. With Jordan, there was whomever before Jordan. Like that's how that there's a frame of reference where, like, football, it's like, no, Tom Brady is the guy. Like, he is the guy.
You'll probably never see a quarterback win the way Tom Brady has won ever again. So no, I agree with you there. But no, I can see Bill Belichick doing it, because Belichick's not used to losing. And when you get used to winning, you still want to win. So I can see Belichick jumping in and absolutely having the Patriots spend a boatload of money for people. Will it work? I don't know. Maybe.
That's the question. That's what we always want to know. But
will it work with Cam Newton at quarterback? Probably not.
Hey, it might have worked if he didn't get COVID. I mean, we don't know. But he's coming back at least allegedly for another year.
I think if we were talking Cam Newton 5 years ago, yeah, absolutely. Cam Newton now? No. Why? Because he's not Brady. So, and let's be honest, Brady has as goofy as Brady is, he's got a much better fashion sense than Cam Newton.
Perfect. I dig it. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. So that being said, Lewis, football's wrapped up for now. So you know what we're going to do?
Cool.
Going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more of the Better Live Than Dead podcast right after these quick commercial breaks. And we are back here on Better Live Than Dead, the podcast. I almost said trust the podcast. I don't know what the hell's going on with me today, but Lewis, we're doing something. We're doing something here. Take a guess. The third of the three big things brought to you by FortuneWolf.com. What are we doing on the third of the three big things? Take a guess.
If I had to take a wild guess, I'd say we're going to talk baseball.
We're talking baseball.
Yeah, I was going to do that, but I didn't want to I didn't want people to hear my terrible singing voice.
I was going to say, even if we weren't talking baseball and you sang, I would still talk baseball. So, Lewis, quick look at the start of Major League Baseball season. And this, I'm jazzed up about this, man, because I'll tell you what. I know you don't like the Red Sox, whatever. Suck it. Listen to this story I got for you, right? So, my thought coming into the baseball season was, bro, the Red Sox are going to suck on ice. It's going to be such a bad year. Rebuilding, whatever, blah, 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 blah. They come out the first three games and just lay an absolute duck. Is that lay an egg? I don't know. A duck, lay an egg. I don't know. My cliches are shitty today.
I was going to ask you about that cliche, but I was just going to go with it.
They shit themselves, bro. They came out. They looked terrible, right? I'm like, oh, God, this is going to be horrible. My thought to myself was like, hey, just be in the AL East race by the end of the month, right? They come out. They start 0-3. I'm like, oh, boy, it's going to be a long season, right? And since then, they've won 9 straight games. So I don't know what to expect. The Red Sox look very good. At the time of recording, teams are playing games, yes, but you've got the Red Sox leading the AL East at 9-3, a 3-game lead over the Toronto Blue Jays, the Florida Blue Jays, who will soon be the Buffalo Blue Jays. Cleveland and Kansas City are tied atop the AL Central at 6-4. The Los Angeles Angels lead the AL West at 7-5. The one thing there that I'm very, very pleased to see, Lewis, is that the baseball fans have not forgotten that the Houston Astros cheated to win a World Series. And the first series of the
stuff that's been happening, it's been great.
Oh my God, throwing legit garbage cans on the field, man. I'm loving life. Yeah. That is so much fun. The NL East, the Mets 4-3. They had a late COVID start because of Washington being their first opponent. They are tied with Philadelphia, who's 6-5 atop the NL East. The NL Central 7-5 for Cincinnati and Milwaukee. The Dodgers, no surprise, 9-2 in the West. The Padres 8-4. Surprisingly, San Francisco starting off 8-4 as well. Both a game and a half back in the division. Now, Lewis, speaking of the Padres, we witnessed history on April 9th, a handful of days ago. San Diego Padres pitcher Joe Musgrove threw the Padres' first no-hitter in franchise history against Texas. In Texas. Fuck Texas. It was amazing to watch, first off. But is it crazy that I kind of had a feeling, because I remember before Johan Santana threw his no-hitter for the Mets, that the Mets and Padres were the only teams in Major League Baseball to never have thrown a no-hitter. And that was Joe Musgrove completing the crown of every team having thrown a no-hitter, which was kind of crazy.
That is crazy, and that's history, and that's really cool.
Well, the cool thing is, too, he's from Southern California, the San Diego area. He played for the Pirates, traded to the Padres this offseason, and then he comes out and throws a no-hitter and looked pretty damn good in the process, too.
Yes. Well, I mean, he threw a no-hitter. So.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's terrible. You can't really say much more than that. Yeah. He threw he threw a no-hitter, and that was good, and those are good, and it was good. The other thing I was going to say is that they've been good, that they being the Padres have been good this season without Fernando Tatis Jr. for the most of it, who's got a torn he has got a torn labrum, a slightly torn labrum in his left shoulder, I believe it is, but he's coming back. So, okay, let's do it. He's a lot of fun to watch.
Yes.
So speaking of being fun to watch, because I'm so good at the transitions, the transition game is back.
That's a good segue.
Los Angeles Angels pitcher and designated hitter Shohei Ohtani, bro, leading Major League Baseball with 18% of barrels per plate appearance. Now that is defined as, quote, a batted ball with the perfect combination of exit velocity and launch angle. Now, Lewis, to be barreled, quote unquote, to be barreled, a batted ball requires an exit velocity of at least 98 miles per hour. At that speed, balls struck with a launch angle between 26 and 30 degrees always garner the barreled classification. For every mile per hour over 98, the range of launch angle expands. Now, Shohei Ohtani has been limited to one start due to a blister on his right middle finger. He has no record of 1.93 ERA, but he's also batting .340 with 4 homers, 12 RBIs in 47 at-bats. In his first start this season, Lewis, the only start of the season so far, he hit 101 miles per hour on the radar gun in the top of the first inning, and then in the bottom of the first inning, on the first pitch nonetheless, hits a 451-foot bomb. Is Shohei Ohtani Major League Baseball's most exciting player right now?
At this point, at right now, abso-freaking-lutely. I mean, you've never seen a player do what he's doing right now.
I mean, the last one was Babe Ruth, and Babe Ruth never hit 101 on the radar gun.
Right, and we never seen him play. At least we get to see this dude play. So it's cool to think about. It's fun to watch. I hope that he can keep it up. You worry about fatigue, but this dude seems like he's just an absolute monster.
Well, and I got to give credit too to Joe Madden, because Joe Madden, Joe Madden, he's a weird fucking guy. Like, let's hang out with giraffes and shit before the game type of weird, That first game, he bat Shohei Ohtani second as a starting pitcher. That's badass. That's ballsy. Ohtani comes out and it's a home run. I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, you step up to the plate, first inning, you just got done dealing off the mound, and you launch one 451 feet. That's not a short home run. That is a monster of a blast.
So, speaking of stats, by the way, Lewis, this is my favorite time of year, because if you go to ESPN.com, you can get the projected stats of the season. So, like right now, Wilson Ramos of the Detroit Tigers leads Major League Baseball with 6 home runs. He's projected to hit 88 this year. That's pretty wild.
Wait, how many? He's got 8 home runs already?
He has 6.
6? 10 games in?
Yeah, he's projected to hit 88.
Dude, that's bananas.
JD Martinez has 16 runs batted in 11 games. He's projected 216 runs batted in. Obviously, these will not happen, but it's fun to look at it. Shane Bieber, right now, in 3 games, has 35 strikeouts. He's pretty good.
He related to Justin?
That would be funny. He's projected 567 strikeouts this season. Not going to happen, but it's fun to look at those funny numbers.
It is fun to look at those numbers. Could you imagine if dude actually does hit 88 home runs?
That would be great. I don't know what I would do. I really don't know what I would do.
That record would never be touched.
I'd probably laugh. Yeah, exactly. So I ran out of things to talk about. I think that it feels great to be back. Absolutely. I think my dog wants to go pee. He came downstairs and is making noises at me. It feels great to be back.
That's probably a good sign.
It's great to talk to you.
It's awesome to talk to you, bro.
I appreciate that. I think that we'll have to do this again soon with John as well. John's probably listening. I'm sure he is. And I think my dog has to pee now.
That'll
He's
be
whining
fun.
at me.
Go let the dog out, bro.
But this was great. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks for sticking around. It's been a long year, but I'm glad we're back. Glad to talk to you again, Lewis. Like I said, Lewis is at MRLG Perez on Twitter.
All the people listening can remember what my sexy voice sounds like.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. And
you're welcome, America.
I am at Wolf BLTD on Twitter, as always. If you have forgotten, don't get it twisted. We are better live than dead.
You're not.
We will catch you sometime very soon. Thanks again for tuning in. Stay safe, stay healthy, get your vaccine, and
that's right.
Fuck Donald Trump.
That's right.
See you guys.
Deuces.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.